Thank you very much, Program Director, and good afternoon to all the esteemed members of the media. Good afternoon to colleagues of Parliament, and a very good afternoon to South Africa. Our apology for starting a bit late, as we had to tie up a number of processes that are currently running. As you would appreciate, we are managing what is evidently a very serious and mammoth task to help birth the existence of a seventh administration. And that process inevitably invokes the three arms of the state to work collaboratively in service of the co-creation of the seventh administration. So it's a very serious undertaking to be able to ensure that as we do that, indeed we live true to the spirit of our Constitution that defines the three arms of the state and also defines clearly the transition intervals that assist in renewal of mandates of a government that, in line with the spirit of the Constitution, will be able to draw legitimacy through the will of the people. And that will of the people has just been clearly expressed on the 29th of May, 2024, to mandate new public representatives that must represent South Africans, 62 million people, to be represented by 400 members of the National Assembly and 90 members of the National Council of Provinces. And true again to the testament of our Constitution, when you look at the preamble of our Constitution, it reflects a very telling statement about what core creativeness of building a country draws its energy from. It says, through this Constitution, we the people, recognizing the injustices of the past, honoring those who laid down their lives and sacrificed for our country, and also make commitment that as a diverse nation, we will elect a government on the basis of the will of the people. And we do so through the directly elected members by the people to represent our aspiration, address the injustice of the past, free the potential of every South African to make sure that as a country we are able to count ourselves amongst the nations of the world. And that's the moment we are in today, to be able to witness and usher in that seventh administration. Indeed, today marks a significant moment in our nation's democratic journey as we stand on the cusp of the inauguration of the seventh term of the Democratic Parliament. The first sittings of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces represents not only the establishment of this new parliamentary term, but also the institutionalization and the expression of the electoral will of the people. Over the past months, the administration of Parliament has undertaken extensive preparatory work to ensure a seamless transition from the sixth term to the seventh term of Parliament. This has been a pivotal moment for us as a nation, involving a delicate constitutional process that has not been without its challenges. Working collaboratively with the executive and the judiciary, we have surmounted these challenges to ensure the success of these important inaugural sittings of the two houses of Parliament. This collective effort underscores our commitment to upholding the democratic principles that underpin our Constitution and to ensuring that the will of the people is effectively translated into action. With each step in this constitutional process, from the elections, the declaration of results, the designation of elected members by the IEC, right up to the handover of the list of the new members by the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa to us as Parliament marks not only the important transition to enable the setting of the administration, but deliver us right where we are now at the cusp of yet another critical milestone in the history of our constitutional democracy. This diligent adherence to our constitutional framework ensures the legitimacy and integrity of our parliamentary system, paving the way for the new term that reflects the electoral will of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to reflect on the dates that you are eagerly awaiting and what will happen on those dates. The dates of the first sittings have now been set by the Chief Justice of the Republic. Under the Constitution of the Republic, the Chief Justice plays an important role in the establishment of the new term of Parliament. It is the Chief Justice's responsibility to determine the dates for the first sitting and also set the dates for provincial sittings and to preside over these sittings with the support of the rest of the judicial arm across provinces. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has diligently complied with this constitutional obligation, ensuring that the two houses of Parliament hold their first sittings within the 14-day period mandated by the Constitution. Many of you will recall the IEC declaring the results on the 2nd of June this year, and in terms of that process, within 14 days, both houses of Parliament must sit. And that 14 days is ending on Sunday, and here we are. The first sitting of the General Assembly will take place tomorrow here at the ICC, and the National Council of Provinces will be sitting on Saturday, the 15th. CTICC has now been declared as a precinct of Parliament. That is done in terms of the Powers and Privileges Act of Parliament of 2004, where it determines the seat of Parliament and also empowers the institution to define any place that it sits, to declare such a place as part of the precinct of Parliament. As you know, we have had a difficult situation in 2022 where Parliament has been engulfed with a fire that destroyed the National Assembly, both the old and the new wings of the Assembly. So the sitting here respond to those constraints and structural limitations of our current precinct by ensuring that we identify a venue that is suitable for such sitting. Many of you would ask, you normally sit at the City Hall. So what's the reason to sit at CTICC? The sitting at the City Hall, largely we sit on the basis of SONA, where it is a sit down, you have a fairly straightforward agenda, delivery of the state of the nation by the head of state. But here on the first sitting, it has got also other engagements that are part of the business of the day, and you need infrastructure that is requisite to support that. In case there must be voting processes, the arrangements for sitting members, the balloting process, and all of those. You wouldn't be able to do it in a venue like we use at the level of City Hall. So we had to find a venue that is much more conducive for such an undertaking. So this venue will be able to accommodate us to ensure that the 400 members of the National Assembly, together with their guests, together with other arms of the states, special guests, diplomats, the rest of the security establishment, and other departments of government that would have been invited as special guests to form part of that. Ladies and gentlemen, where are we on the reception of new members? We are quite excited that based on the list we have now received from the Chief Justice, Parliament has been interfacing with elected members and their respective parties to capture their details into the parliamentary system and making logistical arrangements for their travel and accommodation. Registration has begun as of yesterday, and so far we have successfully onboarded no less than 180 members. This is the statistics of this morning. As we sit here, it might be 200. We've got members currently there now, members who are currently being oriented, and the picture will keep on improving. Suffice to say that we are quite ready and our teams are in action to ensure that the smooth operations run as expected. We are also looking at additional members in terms of additional issues where members are also being taken through the orientation programs to familiarize them with the rules as well as constitutional processes that will unfold during the first sittings. So 2 o'clock, there are members sitting there. There will be others at 4 o'clock. There will be others at 5. And this is essentially designed to ensure that members are well prepared and informed about the procedures and responsibilities that would encounter in that sitting. We have also, as part of logistics setup, established a help desk to ensure that members will be assisted with their guests on any inquiry, including such matters as toll-free numbers, emails, and any other issues in our various help desks, including presence of our staff in various airports entry points of the Republic. On the first sitting of tomorrow, the first sitting of the National Assembly, that will commence with the swearing in of all designated members in attendance. So the first order of proceedings will be swearing in of members, and that swearing in will be presided by the Chief Justice of the Republic. Following the swearing in ceremony, the Chief Justice will also preside over the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly. Once elected, the newly appointed Speaker will take over the proceedings and preside over the election of the Deputy Speaker. These elections are crucial for the proper constitution of the National Assembly, as they ensure that the leadership structure is in place to guide the House functions and related duties of the day. So after swearing in, call for nominations for the candidates who would stand for position of the Speaker, and presiding over that, and also managing the process that is allowed in terms of the Schedule 3 of the Constitution, in terms of the process that ensues in the election. Should you have more than one member, there's a process that is already prescribed. Should there be only one nominee from the floor with support as given and acceptance, and no other nominee that stands for that position, the presiding officer shall proceed and declare that member as duly elected as a Speaker of the National Assembly. The same procedure will happen in respect of the presiding over the election of a Deputy Speaker, of which the Speaker would now take seat and preside over the nomination, following the same procedure. Nominations from the floor, acceptance of nominations, related support process in accordance with the schedules that govern that. And should there be more than one candidate, the voting procedure indicates that a member who will be declared elected is a member that shall secure the majority of votes cast. Should there be no member that secures the majority of votes cast, the elimination procedure kicks in. Members that receive the lowest votes get eliminated until a member receives the majority of votes cast. That's the proceedings that would entail the constituting of a House by having a Speaker elected and a Deputy Speaker. Now, once the House is fully constituted, it's now able to discharge its responsibilities. And in that process, the next order of proceedings will be a call for the nominations of a candidate to be the President-elect of the Republic of South Africa. That will be the third order of proceedings in terms of the flow of election of office bearers. The same procedure will be followed as in accordance with the election of a Speaker, as well as the election of a Deputy Speaker as well as the election of the President-elect of the Republic. That all would also be presided over by the Chief Justice, because other members will also be present to be able to form part in the voting process. So the Chief Justice will then assume the seat to preside over the election of the President-elect of the Republic. That business is all scheduled to take place tomorrow in the National Assembly. With regard to the National Council of Provinces, 54 members will be sworn in as a first order of business on Saturday, the 15th of June. Why 54 members? It's the members that represents provinces in terms of the permanent delegates that must be drawn in to represent all the provinces. So we've got 9 provinces. Each of those are 6 members that are permanent delegates. So 6 times 9 is 54. And then thereafter, you've got 4 delegates in each province that are classified as special delegates. So each province has got 10 in terms of the National Council of Provinces that constitute a house of 90 members. So on Saturday, the sitting would cover the 54 members. As you would have seen in other provinces, there are sittings that are reported widely having taken place today. Others are sitting tomorrow to make sure that the business of provinces enables the National Council of Provinces to be duly constituted and conduct its business of also, similar to National Assembly, electing the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces in accordance with the procedure I've outlined. Likewise, electing the deputy chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, including the chief whip of the National Council of Provinces. I have outlined the procedure on the voting infrastructure. We are currently busy setting up the voting infrastructure as well as the balloting process that will take place as the procedure for electing a speaker, a procedure for electing a deputy speaker. The same procedure for electing a president is by secret ballot. It's by secret ballot. So we need to prepare balloting infrastructure to be able to perform that undertaking as returning officers that assist the Chief Justice as a presiding officer over such proceedings. What are the new features of the first sitting? A new feature of the first sitting of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces will be the performance of the national anthem by the full complement of the official parliamentary choir that consists of 30 choristers. And we're excited that we bring them back after being demobilized by COVID-19, people working at home in different areas. And many of you who would have been part of the media would have been accustomed to Parliament having its parliamentary choir. So the national anthem will now be sung by the parliamentary choir that has been organized. Additionally, representatives of diverse interfaith groups will offer their blessings at the beginning of the proceedings. This inclusive and ceremonial start aims to reflect the unity and diversity of our nation as we embark on this new term of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item after the constituting of Parliament, the activation of members after being sworn in, the election of presiding officers, including President-elect, it then again draws our attention to the Constitution of the Republic that prescribes that after a candidate has been duly elected as President-elect of the Republic, that candidate must be sworn in to office within 5 days. So members are convened within 14 days. After that, within 5 days, the inauguration or swearing in rather of the President-elect of the Republic must take place within 5 days thereafter. Our duty will be to ensure that on the side of Parliament, we prepare all the members to assist them to attend the inauguration at the venue as determined, and as it stands, it appears that the 19th of June is a date for such undertaking within the 5 days after the election of a president-elect. We will ensure that all members of Parliament with one guest are transported to Parliament, accommodated, to make sure that they would also form part of witnessing the historical event of the swearing in of the President of the Republic for the 7th administration, and thereby ushering in the possibility of setting up a government that must manage the administration for the next 5 years. On the opening of Parliament, immediately after the inauguration, there would also be a date for an opening of Parliament. It's referred to the opening of Parliament, and it happens each and every transition after the election. So there will be what is called opening of Parliament address, similar to what you would have as SONA, but this one signifies and symbolizes the ushering in of the 7th term of Parliament. So we are hard at work preparing that to make sure that based on the outlines of the government agenda by the President-elect, what are the legislative priorities, what are the policy priorities that would underpin the focus of the 7th administration. So essentially that gives members the roadmap on some of the issues that they will be prioritizing to make sure that the work of the 7th administration runs smoothly. So all arrangements are currently being undertaken to make sure that the opening of Parliament address is in full swing, awaiting the determination of a date that will be set by the President of the Republic. Induction of program of members in terms of the work of Parliament, the parliamentary rules, the Constitution, and all the matters that pertain to orientating members. We have now scheduled a 4-day induction program that will commence on the 2nd of July and that will run until 5 July on a venue that we will still confirm, essentially to help members understand the core business of Parliament, their roles and responsibilities, members of the office bearers, the overview of members' ethics and disclosures, the House rules and join, all the matters that form part of the instruments that enable members to operate in terms of the business of Parliament. We are also working on the tools of trade for new members to make sure that all of them are assisted to transition smoothly to unfamiliar environments to some of the members. Returning members, at least they have got their own familiarity, but we also appreciate that there are new members who would come for the first time. So enabling the tools of trade for them to be able to do their work will form part of what we are currently doing, including accommodation of members here in Cape Town, as well as in Pretoria when they go for the inauguration. We are also hard at work, ladies and gentlemen, on the issue of the difficulties we have on not having parliamentary building for the sittings of the houses, the committees, and offices of members. We have completed 155 offices as a replacement of the ones we lost through the fire. So we are hard at work now working on additional 54 offices so that each and every member of Parliament has an office. We envisage that we'll be able to complete that over the next 4 months to make sure that the additional 54 offices are also completed. That also includes committee rooms for members, while simultaneously we are hard at work at reconstructing the building of Parliament. On the budget for the establishment of Parliament, I know, Andy, you will ask that question. STP, how much is it going to cost? So I must tell you up front. As we speak, we have made provision for a budget of about 58 million rand to be able to manage this transition that we are undertaking, convening of these sittings, members that are taken to Cape Town, payment of their hotels, payment of all issues related to that. There are tools of trades and so on, including the cost for inductions and related matters. It's one thing to throw in figures, it's another to outline the figures contextually. What did it cost us to do exactly this in 2019? In 2019, we budgeted 43 million to undertake the transition of the 6th administration. Now in 2024, as we usher in the 7th administration, we have made a budget of 58 million. Why high figure? Is it high in any relative terms, in terms of the 5-year transition? You would ask. But without appreciating the contextual drivers of that, in 2019, we had no building of fire. We had no building to be able to undertake all of that. Now we had to create a precinct of parliament called City ICC. The cost of this venue, the number of days that you have to secure the building, right up until the 3 days after, would also contribute to that difference of 43 and 58 million. So that's the budget that we have put up for the management of the transition for the 7th Parliament. I would like to conclude, Program Director, by indicating to South Africans that Parliament of the Republic of South Africa stands ready to usher in the 7th administration to make sure that it navigates the birthing of the new administration that would lead Parliament of South Africa. We would like to thank the Chief Justice of the Republic, the cooperation we have received, the members of the executive, and members of the security cluster who are hard at work preparing that the event must run smoothly to make sure that the inaugural session, the logistics and related matters are meticulously undertaken. We are confident that the proceedings will unfold smoothly and effectively, marking the successful commencement of the 7th Democratic Parliament. We would like to express our gratitude to the key stakeholders who have been instrumental in this preparatory process. Our sincere thanks again to the Chief Justice, Office of the Chief Justice, to the Electoral Commission of South Africa, IEC, the Security Cluster, as well as the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, the City of Cape Town, and the Cape Town International Convention Center for their cooperation, and to yourselves as members of the media, that you will keep South Africans informed right up until every stage is executed in accordance with the constitutional dictates as well as the rules of Parliament, as set by the Chief Justice. So this collaboration has been so invaluable in ensuring that we are ready to welcome and accommodate the new members of Parliament and also facilitate this historic moment of a transition to the 7th administration. I thank you.